Hey there, I'm Brittany Schroeder, and business and marketing are my jam. I'm here to walk you step by step through this crazy thing we call business. I'm a small town girl, chocolate eating, Diet Coke drinking mom, marketing guru, automation Jedi, and all around good time. This is your weekly dose of all things business and life, sprinkled with some fun. This is the Redefine Business Podcast. Welcome to another episode of Redefine Business Podcast. I am excited about my podcast guest today. I just stumbled across this company and I geeked out over this really, really cool concept, but I'm not going to steal his thunder. I am going to let the co-founder tell you all about it. So welcome to the podcast, Charlie Greene, co-founder of Remento. There we go. Tongue twister. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you so much, Brittany. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, Charlie, tell us, my listeners, a little bit about who you are and what you do and all the things.
Yeah, so I'm Charlie. I am one of the founders, a co-founder of Remento. We're building a platform to capture and preserve family stories. And the product that is currently the key piece of our offering is called the Remento book, which makes it easier than ever to turn the memories of an aging relative into a book of their stories. And it's really simple the way it works. We'll send someone that you love a new prompt every week. They respond by speaking their answer. They don't have to write a single word. And then we turn their recordings into written stories, all of which get printed into a book full of stories. And then we do something that's my favorite part of the offering, which is include QR codes in the book that can be scanned, and will ultimately make it so that while you're reading the book, you can have the voice of the person you love sharing their stories right in their own words. So we call it a narrated autobiography, and it's created without having to write a word.
I love it. So is there an app? Like how is the audio done?
Yeah, super simple. There's no app at all. So it's completely web-based. So when you buy Remento for someone that you love, you log into our website and we'll as the what we call the host will pick all of the questions that they want to ask. You can upload photos, learn the stories behind photographs of your parent or your grandparents' past, their childhood, things more recently. And then every week they get an email with a big green button that says share my story. And when they click on it, it opens up our recording studio. There are no downloads, no logins, nothing to remember. Literally in 3 taps, they can just begin speaking, and they can speak for as little or as much as they want. When they're done, they hit finish recording. And then a couple minutes later, you get a notification saying that you've got a new recording available to watch.
Yeah, I love that. I bought Storyworth for my mom last year. And that was like the challenge where she's like, oh, I don't know what to write. And, and so it really was like a struggle. And Charlie had emailed me and I was giving him a hard time. I'm like, where were you like a year ago? Like I needed this. So I'm going to have to get another one and have her do it again, just for like the voice portion of it. Like, I just think that is just what a powerful thing is to hear the voice of your loved ones. So I love that.
I'll never forget what it was like seeing the first Remento that came through of my mom, who recorded a story about her childhood home, and being able to look at a photo of her home and hear her reflection of why the corner room that you could see from the photo that I was looking at was like this magical place for her. It just became so clear that what I was experiencing was something that was completely unlike anything I had before. And it was so amazing to know that it was a sensation, a feeling, and an experience that I would be able to relive at any point in the future because it would be preserved forever.
Yeah. Well, and I love the concept of the voice because, a lot of times I actually give my daughter this lecture because she's a teenager. And how we read something and in our head, we put emotion to it, or we put whatever we think it is. But in all reality, we really don't know a lot of times. And that is part of like the human connection. It's one of the senses that is, like that can really like impact people. And memory is like so powerful. And, you hear sound or you hear their voice and it can trigger another memory. And so I love that you're like combining, different senses, like, cause you can put a picture, there's your visual, but then the sound like that is like such a powerful thing.
It is one of my favorite parts of this job is getting to geek out with the people that we have on our scientific advisory board. We've got neuroscientists, memory scientists, people that have conducted hundreds and hundreds of autobiographical memory interviews. And what we find is that different people respond to different stimuli. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone enters into a reminiscent state in the same way. Someone who is 50 in the prime of their life will be inspired to go back to their childhood in a way that's very different from someone who's 80 with early onset forms of dementia, right? Who
Mm-hmm.
will need a totally different kind of stimulus to get to that space. And that's one of the things that's really exciting for us as we look forward is being able to tailor the product to the person who's actually sharing, because a question for someone who is facing a type of dementia needs to be very tailored to what they're able to do and what will be most inspiring to them.
Yeah. I was like very lucky, very blessed. I grew up with two sets of grandparents. And it's funny because I had so much contrast in my grandmothers. I had this one that was very like proper and, like polyester pants and, just like so proper and just sitting with her hands in her lap and was just the sweetest, like really like the epitome of like the like sweetest grandmother ever. And that was on my mom's side. And then on my dad's side, I had this grandma that was like full Italian. And I'm talking firecracker. She talked like a truck driver, like she was a bus driver and just, like grew up totally old school, was always just cussing at us and, like just totally complete opposites. And my grandmother on my mother's side, I just adored them. I adored both of them, but I remember she had passed away years ago when I was in high school. And for a gift one year for Christmas, my uncle had, she was a journaler and she journaled and written her personal history. And my uncle had put it in a book and with images and stuff. And I remember opening it and just crying like it was, and just reading it and just like, hearing about her life, like it was one of my most like treasured gifts. And so then I was like, oh, I want one from my other grandma too. And so I actually worked with my grandma on my dad's side and we wrote it and stuff and it totally different books, like day and night. One was like sweet and one was like, you probably had to like screen some of it, but today still those are like two of my most treasured possessions, like how I just love them so much. And but I love like the prompts. I think that is, because I'm a very inquisitive person and I do want to know, like, I have all these unanswered questions now where I'm like, oh, I wish I would have asked this, I wish I would ask that, and you just don't think until it's too late. So I love that there are prompts and I love that there are suggestions and just the whole thing is just, I love it. I was really excited and I was excited to promote it for you because I'm always looking for like businesses that have really great products. So, well, tell us, Charlie, a little bit about like your journey starting this business. It's always like a labor of love to get things going. Tell us like, what are things that you have done that have worked or what are things that, where are you at now? Like, tell us a little bit more about how you have like grown the business and marketing, what's been successful for you and what hasn't really worked for you. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I'll say first of all, it's been an amazingly exciting journey. Anyone who has the privilege of being able to build a company knows how much of a roller coaster it is, and also knows how fundamentally rewarding it is to be able to be a part of a team that is making something that you feel is really important. For me, my journey goes back to the beginning as it relates to Remento, which was very much inspired by the tremendous benefit of growing up in a home with two parents that I joke were freakishly in love with the home video camcorder. I don't know if it was because my dad was excited to be a parent or because he just really liked this new piece of technology that he had bought just before I was born. But I have nearly 100 hours of video from the first decade of my life and my sister's life.
Wow.
And that content took on a different level of meaning in the years after he passed away, just after my 10th birthday. And it was in the process of watching that content, and actually as a 13-year-old digitizing a lot of that content, that I came to realize, honestly, with a good amount of surprise, what was most meaningful in that collection. And it wasn't the video that captured the Kodak moments, the births, the birthdays, the graduations, the recitals. It was the video that captured the everyday encounters that actually provided a glimpse into the kind of person he really was. So I have a video of him holding me in his arms like the day I was born, as Kodak of a moment as they come. And actually, the video that I care more about than probably any other digital or physical artifact that I have access to is a video that my mom took of my dad sitting at the breakfast table before they went to the hospital the day I was born. And he is explaining with his mouth open as he eats a bagel how nervous he is that he may not have connected the car seat into the car according to the manual in the right way. And it's just such a human moment that allows me to empathize with him in a way today that I never could before. So flash forward, my mom gets diagnosed with cancer 15 years later, and I come to this realization that there's a good chance that my kids will never meet either of their grandparents. There was one night I was living in Portland, Maine with my mom, and she was getting ready to get her treatment. I was scrolling through my photo album, and I realized that I didn't have a single video of my mom from the last 10 years that was longer than 7 seconds. I had 100 hours of video from the first 10 years of my life, but I didn't have a single video longer than 7 seconds from the past 10. So we decided to change that. We created what has traditionally and academically been called an oral history interview. The two of us sat down and we started to record her stories. And there were two surprises that came from that experience. The first was that I didn't capture a single story that I was expecting. I was imagining we would like sit down and she would tell me the stories that I roll my eyes when I hear because I've heard them so many times. I was blown away by how asking her questions about how she got to elementary school as a child or what her favorite toy growing up was led her to share parts of her life that we had simply never made the time to explore together. So surprise one was just how much there was to learn about someone I thought I knew everything about. Surprise number two was when I took that content and shared it with her family, her brother, her sister, and a couple of her close friends, what happened next, which was we received an outpouring of questions, of comments, of photos, of videos, of maps, all things that the people in my mom's life who had experienced these moments with her were inspired to share. So I asked my mom, what's the first memory you have from childhood? She responded saying she'll never forget meeting Santa when she was 3 years old sitting on his lap. My aunt hears my mom say this in the recording that I've shared with her, goes up to the attic, finds a photo of my mom sitting on Santa's lap.
Oh, wow.
And now we have the photo next to the video of my mom reflecting on that experience. And for me, that was when something snapped, which was the realization that while it would be incredibly valuable for me to have a time capsule to share with my kids in the future of my mom's experiences, the real magic was actually in the journey of creating this repository itself. Going through the process of learning and discovering brought the two of us closer together than I ever could have imagined, and for us at a time that was particularly difficult for our family. So Remento was built as a company on the vision of capturing and preserving family stories. And we've been around for 2 years. We spent the last 2 years iterating on different ways to inspire people to overcome all of the hurdles that get in the way of us doing something that each of us knows deep down we should be doing, and just make it so easy for us to get started that there's no reason not to.
Yeah. Every year, my New Year's resolution is to journal, and every year I fail so hard. So maybe it's something like this that I need. And I also think too is, it's interesting, and maybe this like ages me and makes me an old lady, but I just think the older I get, the more valuable those types of mementos are. Just like the memories, the written word, the spoken word, like those are just like some of the most treasured things that we have. It's for me anyway. I'm a minimalist, so I get rid of everything too. But I love to hear stories of my family and just people that that I've lost. Like it's just it's such an amazing gift, such a genius gift idea. So yeah, I love this so much. It's so awesome. Um, is there anything else that you want to share about the business or anything like that that we can share with my listeners?
Yeah, well, that was a little bit of the origin story. I'll say the thing
Yeah.
that we're most excited about is giving people an opportunity to create something that, as you say, will turn into a keepsake they can pass along forever. I've been reflecting for the last several years on the irony of the fact that we live in a world of ubiquitous content creation.
Mm-hmm.
Like the number of photos that we will take in any given month is so much higher than that number 10 years ago. Um, and yet, it would be very unfair to say that those photos capture everything that's important and worthy of preservation,
Yeah.
right? So what we're hoping to do is to be able to inspire people to look beyond their photo albums,
Mm-hmm.
right? And provide the tools to be able to create something that explains the meaning behind the moment that the photo has captured. I think about my scrapbooks that my mom made me growing up and the amount of time and effort and curation that went into creating those. They're imbued with meaning. I understand the way she viewed my childhood based on the way that she went about creating those books.
Yeah.
There's something so important about the physicality of them. So our hope is that we can inspire people to do something similar and create something that can be just as valuable. The other thing I would say is you mentioned having sat down with your grandmother and having done this. So you'll have a perspective on this as well. One of the things that we hear so often from our customers is that this actually feels good. Like it feels good to be nostalgic and to remember, right? There's a lot of modesty in our culture around not wanting to pry into someone's story and also not wanting to overshare. And we see an opportunity to be able to say, what if people could just have open and honest conversations with each other without having to worry about the modesty on either side? Like, could that not lead to more deep connection and understanding across families?
Yeah, 100%. I'm a very inquisitive person. And so, and I teach my kids because, the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the things in there says that people like to talk about themselves and, ask questions. And it's kind of funny because lots of my friends will be like, "You're like, how do how do you get people to tell you stuff?" And I'm like, "You just have to ask questions. Like people want to talk about themselves." And so it's such a feel good like thing to do. Like this product is such a feel good because it really, when you take interest in somebody to the depths of how did you get to school? It's things that they probably haven't even thought about for years. And like you said, it probably triggers other conversations and other memories. And, where you really, I mean, when I did this with my grandmother, I really got to know her. And there were things I had no idea about. And so it really is such an amazing thing and such a treasured like memory and moment for me. So I just love this. I got so excited about it when we contacted each other. I was like, oh my gosh, like I love this. I think this is a genius idea. So yeah, it was awesome. Very cool. Was there anything else that you wanted to add about your journey or, anything like that my listeners might want to hear about?
Yeah, I would just say I've never had so much fun doing anything in my life, and that all comes from the fact that I feel so convicted that the product that we are building is creating an opportunity for people to create things that they will come to realize are so much more valuable than they realize they will be today.
Oh, 100%.
And I think this well as do I. People who have lost people that we care about, that you never know what you have until it's gone. And for so many of us, we wait too late to create the kinds of things that we will so cherish. Inevitably, we speak to so many people who talk about voicemails as things that they save and hold on to from people who they love having passed away. And we live at a time where all of us have digital video cameras in our pockets. And my hope is that the people who buy our product or frankly don't, but maybe inspired to think about this in a different way, create a single piece of content, just one, that they can look to in 20 or 30 or 40 years and be inspired and connected to the people that they care most about.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you don't have to survive the Holocaust or be a U.S. president or have risen to some level of cultural significance, like for your story to matter, particularly to those that love you most.
Yeah. And write it down. Don't leave it in your phone. Don't leave it on your computer, because there's too many times where computers are lost or phones are stolen. And so, put it down, print it out, get it written down. So I love this. Very, very cool. Well, Charlie, tell my listeners where they can find you and find more information.
Yeah, so our company is Remento. It's like remember and memento combined into one word. You can spell that pretty wrong in Google, and Google will direct you to our website. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, all the social channels. And if you're interested in preserving the stories of someone you love and maybe don't have the time or the flexibility to do all the work yourself, check out the Remento book. It's $99, and for listeners of your podcast, I know you'll tell them in a moment, we're going to make a promotion available for them if they're interested.
Yeah. So we'll put this in the show notes and on the website. You can use Redefine and get $10 off.
That's right.
We'll put that in there. So check it out. All right, Charlie. Okay, I like to end all my podcasts with asking my guests 2 questions. The first one's, what is a pet peeve?
So I'm a former speechwriter. So my biggest pet peeve is poor grammar. And I feel sometimes like kind of a jerk calling people out for poor grammar. But it was really drilled into my brain by people who really do their grammar. So I would say poor grammar.
Yep. Your and you are 2 totally different words, people. Come on.
Yeah. Or less and fewer is the one that always gets to me, the difference there. The number of fitness classes I've been in where folks refer to that. Again, it's like we all make mistakes. Yeah. It's just a pet peeve.
And you know what? Grammar is not my strength. I'm very left-brained and analytical, and that's why I outsource all my proofing and editing, because I recognize it's not. Awesome. Okay. What is a simple pleasure?
I live in Los Angeles, and I've been here for 2 years. And every Friday night since I moved here, my wife and I have gone to the same restaurant for dinner. It's not particularly good, but it is on the water, and they have a great happy hour special. So spending time with her and our dog at a restaurant in Los Angeles.
Awesome. I love that one. Awesome. Well, thank you, Charlie, so much. And you guys give Remento, check it out. It's awesome. I am super excited to share it and to use it. So go and check Charlie out and give him some love. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Let's not stop the party here. Head on over to my Instagram or Facebook group, Redefine Your Business, and let me know your thoughts about today's show. I will see you again, same time, same place, next week.